Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasat Tato Jayam Udirayet. So we're reading today from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 60, Text 9. So we'll do word for word responsively. Tam Rupinim Shriyam Ananya Gatim Nirikshya Ya Lilaya Drita Tano Anurupa Rupa Prita Smayan Alaka Kundala Nishka Kanta Vaktra Ulasat Smita Sudham Hari Abhase. This goes to the same meter as the Brahma Samhita, so we can chant responsively. Tang Rupining Shri Amananyagating Nriksha Nanyagating Nirikshya Tang Rupining Shri Amananyagating Nirikshya Yali Laya Drita Tanor Anurupa Rupa Yali Laya Drita Tanor Anurupa Rupa Pritak Smayan Alaka Kundala Nishka Kanta Pritak Smayan Alaka Kundala Nishka Kanta Vaktro Lasat Smita Sudam Harir Abhabhase Vaktro Lasat Smita Sudam Vaktro Lasat Smita Sudang Harir Abhabhashe Tam Rupinim Shri Amananya Gating Nirikshya Yali Layadri Tatanora Nurupa Rupa Pritak Smayan Alaka Kundala Nishka Kanta Vaktro Lasat Smita Sudhang Harir Abhabhashe. Someone? Tang Rupinim Shri Amaranya Gating Nirikshya Yali Laya Drita Tanor Anurupa Rupa Pritak Smayan Alaka Kundala Nishka Kanta Vaktro Lasat Smita Sudhang Abhabhashe. Tam Rupining Shriyam Nyakating Nirikshya Yali Laya Drita Tanor Anurupa Rupa Pritak Smayan Alaka Kundala Nishka Kanta Vaktro Lasat Smita Sudam Harir Abhabhase. Ladies, tang rupining shriyam ananya gating nirikshya ya lilaya dritatanor anurupa rupa pritaksmayan alakakundala nishkakanta Vaktro lasat smita sudam harir ababase. Tam, her, rupinim, appearing in person. Shriyam, the goddess of fortune. Ananya, having no other. Gatim, goal. Nirikshya, seeing. Ya, who, Lilaya, as his pastimes, Drita, of him who assumes, Dano, bodies, Anurupa, corresponding, Rupa, whose forms, Prita, pleased, Smayan, smiling, Alaka, with locks of hair, Kundala, earrings, Nishka, neck ornament, Kanta, on her throat, Vaktra, face, Ulasat, bright and happy, Smita, smile, Sudam, nectar, Hari, Lord Krishna, Abhase, spoke. Translation. As he contemplated her, the goddess of fortune herself, who desires only him, Lord Krishna smiled. The Lord assumes various forms to enact his pastimes, and he was pleased that the form the goddess of fortune had assumed was just suitable for her to serve as his consort. Her charming face was adorned with curling hair, earrings, a locket on her neck, and the nectar of her bright, happy smile. The Lord then spoke to her as follows. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami has quoted an interesting verse spoken by Sri Parashar in the Vishnu Purana. Devatve devadeheyam manushyatve cha manushi Vishnor dehanurupam vai karot ye sat manas tanum. Quote, translation of that. When the Lord appears as a demigod, she, the goddess of fortune, takes the form of a demigoddess. And when he appears as a human being, she takes a human-like form. Thus, the body she assumes matches the one Lord Vishnu takes. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti adds that as Lord Krishna is even more beautiful than the Lord of Vaikuntha, Lord Krishna's consort Rukmini Devi is even more attractive than the goddess of fortune in the Vaikuntha world. Oma Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. It's a very wonderful verse and an equally challenging purport that describes the spiritual world and the nature of personalities in the spiritual world. We often hear the quote, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate, that the Lord, who is the master of the senses, when we surrender our senses to that master of the senses, then we attain to pure devotional service. So this is the nature of the spiritual world, that everyone there is purely engaged in Krishna's service. Here we see in the material world everyone is served in some other purpose, and very rarely do we see that even a little bit is engaged in Krishna's service. And so we should take heart, we should with these verses and purports as to what exactly is our situation and how we should adjust our lives in the service of Krishna. So, important points in the verse. Srila Sridhar Swami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have commented on this verse, and our nearest is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, which is quoted very much. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was a very wonderful devotee of the Lord. He was able to explain so many things. There's a very wonderful story of his famous Govinda Bhasya, the famous Govinda Bhasya by Baladev Vidyabhushan, who was his disciple and follower. And it had to deal with the pastimes of Radha and Krishna as they appear in their Murti form in Jaipur, here in India. And if we know the history, we know that the deities, when Muslim invaders were conquering, so the deities were brought to safe place. And so Radha Govinda, the deities in Vrindavan, were moved to Jaipur. And so it just so happened that at the time, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, led by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, were becoming very popular in India at the time. And so the caretakers of Govindaji, they started to feel very threatened that these Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they're going to take over the whole show, and what will become of us? So they appealed to the king of Jaipur, that please, these Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they're not really bona fide, because they have no commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So, in order to have an established sampradaya, Vaishnava sampradaya, you have to have an accepted commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. The Vaishnavas, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they were following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya explained that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, and no other commentary is needed, because the Srimad Bhagavatam explains in detail all the points enumerated in the Vedanta Sutra, and is also written by the author of Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasadeva. So therefore, this is our commentary as we follow it. So the news reached, and so what the Ramanandis objected to was that Radha and Krishna are worshipped together as a couple. And they said that this is not bona fide. And so the king said, all right, so what to do? Because they were his court pundits. And the king, according to Vedic system, the king has to follow what the pundits instruct, especially in spiritual matters. So they said, well, both can be worshipped, but they have to be worshipped separately. So you have a separate room for Radha and a separate puja for Krishna, and then this is all right. So the Vaishnavas at the time, they were very upset that this had happened. So they sent word to Vishwanath Chakravarti, who was a very old man at this time. And he said, well, I cannot go, but I will send Baladev Vidyabhushan to set the matters straight. So he said, all right. So Baladev Vidyabhushan, he went to Jaipur to argue the case of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And so when he arrived, he heard the points of the Ramanandis, that you have no bona fide, you have no commentary on Vedanta Sutra, and therefore your sampradaya is not bona fide. So Baladev Vidyabhushan said, that's all right. I will bring you the commentary. No problem. So they said, well, where is that commentary that you're bringing? He said, no matter. I will write it. And they were aghast. This was such a challenge. And so the story is different. Whether it was 1 week or 1 month, but Baladev Vidyabhushan produced this commentary, the Govinda Bhasya, and that is now our recognized commentary, the recognized commentary. Anyway, when Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti heard of this arrangement that the Ramanandis had created of separating the deities, he laughed. And he said, oh, she's mad with him. They're having a quarrel. So she has put herself away from him, like that. So that is the vision of pure devotees who actually are immersed in the pastimes of Krishna and can actually enter into and observe the pastimes. So this is a wonderful display of that. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti, we understand his eminent position in the Vaishnava Sampradaya. And so that is one interesting pastime of his. And we see also in this verse many references to the word Rupa. We have Rupinim, appearing in person, the goddess of fortune. And then we have Anurupa Rupa. So all these different forms of the Lord. And I remember once I met with Pradyumna Das, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and he was Srila Prabhupada's Panditji. Whenever they would call, whenever there was some Sanskrit to be done, then Prabhupada would call, bring Panditji. And so they would call for him. And I asked him once, what, you were with Prabhupada so much, and you were translating for Srila Prabhupada with the word-for-word translations, and you were editing and seeing what Prabhupada spoke. So what do you think was the most important thing that Srila Prabhupada did or expressed or whatever? What is your feeling, the most important thing? And his answer was that Srila Prabhupada gave form to the spiritual world. He gave form to the spiritual energy in this day and age. And we can see that Srila Prabhupada is what we call the benchmark. Now, you know, when you construct a building, the levels of the building have to be exactly right. So the architect, he will pound a stake in the ground and he will mark that stake. And every level of the building, whether it's up or down, has to follow that benchmark in order that the construction can come out correct. So in the same way, our view of the spiritual world, of the spiritual energy, is based on the benchmark of Srila Prabhupada's translations and teachings and words and purports. That is our chakshu. You know, you say Shastra Chakshu. So which Shastra? There are so many Shastras. There's the Vedas, the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda. There are the Upanishads, there are the Brahmanyas, there are the Aranyakas, there are innumerable Shastras, Puranas, Itihas, so many Shastras. So which Shastra do we actually follow? Which ones? Because as we understand, certain Puranas, for example, they are written for those in the mode of ignorance, some are written for those in the mode of passion, and some are written for those in the mode of goodness. And so we as Vaishnavas, we follow those Puranas that are in the mode of goodness. So it is a very, very nice arrangement. And then if we look at the Upanishads, Upanishad, the word means to come closer, closer to Krishna, come closer to God. So the Upanishads, they contain mostly all these spiritual teachings, the difference between spirit and matter, the relationships between the material and spiritual energies of Krishna. So we understand that all the Upanishads are collected, the wisdom are collected within the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. So sometimes the Bhagavad Gita is called Gita-upanishad for that reason, because it is the summary of the Bhagavad Gita. And so we have the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and Srila Prabhupada's purports. And so when we refer to different commentaries or different purports or different shastras, we see them through that benchmark, through the eyes, through the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. We do not go to these other shastras and try to interpret them on our own, through our own mental ideas, you know. And this concept is called parampara, that we're following faithfully in the traditions as handed down. And in our ISKCON society, the words of Srila Prabhupada, the understandings of Srila Prabhupada, these are our understandings of the spiritual world. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is also explained in the 15th chapter that there is a great banyan tree, and the roots go up, and the branches and leaves, they go down. And so there is a saying, as above, so below. So what is happening in the spiritual world is reflected in this material world, but it is a coarse and distorted reflection of what is happening in the spiritual world. So we see these, in our world, we see pastime, we see people in loving relationships of one kind or another, but we understand that this is, in a way, a distortion of our true relationship with Krishna. And we want to always remember Krishna, always think of Krishna. And so Bhagavad Gita says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So we always think of Krishna, we always worship Krishna, we remember Krishna, and we offer our obeisances to Krishna, all these things. This is our devotional service. And we follow it because this is what Srila Prabhupada has taught us. And in fact, in front of Guru, we are considered very ignorant. That we should always consider ourselves very foolish in front of the spiritual master, because that is his situation. He is, Srila Prabhupada said of his Guru, he said that he was a Vaikuntha man. What can I say? You know, I had one experience when I went into Srila Prabhupada's room in Vrindavan one time, and so I paid my obeisances, and after the pranam, I said, Jai Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, he immediately said, Jai Srila Prabhupada. And so at first I was bewildered that he's saying Jai to him. But then I realized, no, actually, he's saying that to his spiritual master. So everything is going in that line of succession. It is a very important feature, very important factor that we should understand, that any service that we are doing for the Guru, it is not for him, but it is for his Guru, and then his Guru, and his Guru, and his Guru, in a line of succession. So it was a very enlivening and enlightening pastime of that. And so we see that somehow Srila Prabhupada has that effect, that he is the representative of Krishna, and he is able to present Krishna. Just like when I first joined in ISKCON in Vancouver many years ago, So I was overhearing one conversation, and one devotee lady, she was saying, you know, when people they just see a pure devotee, they will automatically chant Hare Krishna. So I thought, well, how is that possible? You know, I'm thinking this is a big exaggeration. But anyway, you know, here I am, you know, and so in sort of a way I disbelieved, and in sort of a way I accept. See? So a few weeks later, we went for Rath Yatra in San Francisco. And one friend of mine, he said, look, I know where Prabhupada is staying, and we'll go there, and when he comes for his morning walk, we'll be able to have darshan of Srila Prabhupada. Oh, wonderful idea. So we went to this apartment where Srila Prabhupada was staying, and we waited, and we knew Srila Prabhupada is coming for his morning walk. So when he came, there was a little gate there, and they opened the gate, and Srila Prabhupada saw us. There was about 5 or 6 of us who had the same idea, that we'll have this darshan of Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, they opened the gate, Prabhupada came out and he saw us, and immediately he said, all glories to the assembled devotees. So automatically, what did we chant? Hare Krishna! So I always remembered, I took it as Srila Prabhupada saying, that girl, she may have been, in your eyes, exaggerating, but Srila Prabhupada got you to chant Hare Krishna automatically when you saw him. So that was very enlivening for me also. So we go on with as above, so below. The Rupa. And so we see these pastimes. One of the things that struck me about Krishna consciousness when I first came was the clarity of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is very clear of how this world works, how people, who they are, what they are, and we see in the second chapter how Arjuna is bewildered because he has this idea of Kula Dharma. Kula means place, and Dharma means the religion, the traditions, all the things that exist in that place from their ancestors. And he explains to Krishna, you know, this war is a terrible thing. Why all these people should be killed? You know, and why should I participate, especially, you know, because if I do that, I'll go to hell. And so Krishna's immediate reaction is to explain through Sankhya. Sankhya, we understand, this is sometimes referred to as counting philosophy, or philosophy of logic, that we explain exactly what the situation is. So Krishna explains the different things, and actually he tweaks him first. He adopts the role of guru first, that while speaking learned words, you are lamenting for what is not worthy of grief, because a wise man, he laments neither for the living nor the dead. So while speaking learned words, he says, so he, in one sense he praises Arjuna, and then he says, but actually you're a fool. You don't know what's going on. You don't have any idea. And Arjuna, of course, is a surrendered soul. And so Krishna explains the difference between spirit, soul, and the body. And in that way, comes to the point of Sankhya. So sometimes second chapter is referred to as Sankhya Yoga, that Krishna explained Sankhya Yoga to Arjuna. In terms of Sankhya Yoga, what is the situation of the body and the soul? So this Kula Dharma, you know, that Arjuna is speaking. So then, I forgot the point actually. I got wrapped up in the clarity of the Gita, that's right. So that clarity is also enumerated in the, as we know, there are 5 topics of the Bhagavad Gita. The topics of who is God, first of all? Who is the controller? Who are we? Who are we as living entities? And then what is this prakriti? What is this material energy? And what is karma? The interactions of the spirit soul with the material energy and with Krishna. And then what is time? So these 5 points Krishna then enumerates throughout the verses of the Bhagavad Gita with many different explanations of how human society works, the whole system of Varna ashram. Of course, in today's world, even in today's world, you know, Varna ashram has a bad name because of the caste system in India, because of the misapplication of Varna ashram dharma due to the caste system by birth. But even if you look at the modern material world, in order to have a civilized society, you have to have a division of labor. Different people have to do different things. This is not maybe. This is how it is. So we can see that there is a Brahmanical class. All the professors, the universities, massive amounts of money are spent on the educational system. And this is because this is a Brahmanical class. The society is trying to create their version of a Brahmanical class that will be able to become teachers and professors and this kind of thing. And we also see, of course, there is an administrative class. There are the police, there are the armies, there are the courts, there are the judges, there are the lawyers. Although lawyers don't have such a good name. Even from Shakespeare, there's a famous quote from Shakespeare where one man is trying to say, he's trying to create a perfect society. How perfect society they will have. And he says, first we kill all the lawyers. You know, that was his first prescription for a perfect society. Anyway, that's just an aside. And then, of course, you have the Vaishya communities. You have, at least in America, you have massive agribusiness, it's called. So they are, creating, monocultures of crops in order to create wheat and rice and the essentials of life. And so that is their system, and they are subsidized by governments all around the world. The farmers are subsidized in every country practically. And then there are the workers. And even the workers are organized. You have unions. Every country has unions. In America, they try to get rid of them all the time. But it is not possible. There are different kinds of unions. I was very surprised, actually. I met a man at one of the government offices in Alachua, in Gainesville, Florida. And he described to me that he was a union man. And what was his union? His union was the union in America that does the glass work for these massive skyscrapers. So all these massive skyscrapers, they have these huge windows. Some of the buildings are practically all window on the outside. And these windows are very special. They have to be constructed with very, very thick glass, and the glass has to be constructed in a certain way, and then the glass has to be placed in the windows in a certain way. And there's a union for that, So you have kind of high-class unions, you might say, electrical workers and, the upper scale needs of societies, but workers, you have to have workers. So in this way, even in our modern situation, we can see that, Varna ashram, Varna at least, is there. Whether they are performing, the problem in the West is that they're not performing the obligations of their Varna. Varna also, different Varnas have a different dharma. The obligation of the Brahmins is austerity. They have to perform austerities. The Varna of the Kshatriyas is that they have to be fair. They cannot be corrupt. That's no good. Corruption is no good. And the Vaishyas, their obligation is to give in charity and to support different people, different classes. And then the workers, their understanding is service to the Vaishyas, Brahmanas, and Kshatriyas. So that is a system. It is everywhere, because it is Krishna's system. And one of the things that we can do as preachers is to reach these kinds of people and explain to them what their system is, what their obligations are. So when I've just come from the 40th anniversary of the installation of Shri Krishna Balaram, Shri Radhashyam Sundar, and Shri Gaur Nitai in Vrindavan in 1975, when Srila Prabhupada inaugurated the temple. And so the governor of Uttar Pradesh, he was the guest of honor. And if you look at the conversations that Srila Prabhupada was giving at that time, he had big conversation with the governor, explaining to him the intricacies of Varnashram Dharma. And the governor, he was very interested in that, because that his situation as such an important member of the Kshatriya class is to institute as much as possible the obligations of the different Varnas. So it is very nice that we see that Srila Prabhupada very much practiced and understood these points. Srila Prabhupada's realization was all-encompassing of the various systems of spiritual advancement. That what is this reason for Varnashram Dharma is Sangsiddhir Haritoshanam, to please the Lord Hari. And so, what next? So, I was thinking before this class different points to make. We dealt with the form. Yes, so when we look at the Bhagavad Gita and all the different points that Krishna made to Arjuna, it's very surprising that how true everything is in the Bhagavad Gita as it pertains to this material world. So Krishna explains social situations, and he explains through the modes of material nature how to recognize people, who they are, and what they are doing. There are different kinds of worship, there are different kinds of diet, the different acts of charity, charity in the mode of goodness, charity in the mode of passion, charity in the mode of ignorance, all these different facets of human life. And one of the reasons that it is so important to have this realization of how the Bhagavad Gita explains the material world is that it gives us the faith to understand and to accept the descriptions of the spiritual world, because we do not have access in our present condition to the spiritual world, to these pastimes of Krishna, without the instruction and without the books and the words of the spiritual masters, the 6 Goswamis. We do not have access to them. You know, it's just like I was hearing in one class, it was saying that sometimes people would come to Srila Prabhupada and they would say, "Oh, I am seeing Krishna. I'm so much a Krishna devotee, and you know, I love Krishna, and Krishna is always there, you know, with me, you know, kind of thing." But that is not actually our mood. Our mood is we're always chasing after Krishna. We're not finding Krishna. And hey Radhe Vrajadevi ke chalalite is the verse from the 6 Goswami, from the Sad Goswami Ashtakam, that we're always separated from Krishna, And our mood is always to be searching for Krishna and always trying to find Krishna. So we find him in these verses and in these words of our spiritual masters and preceptors. So that is our, because our mood is one of separation from Krishna. And let's face it, especially here in Mumbai, when you go out in the traffic, you're very much separated from Krishna, and very much involved with the motor cars and the scooters and everything else, the tamasa that generally is happening out there, and it's very difficult. Now, Vrindavan itself, the town, it wasn't built for cars, you know. It took us half an hour just to get out of town yesterday, and, you know, to come. So it's very difficult in those circumstances to be constantly remembering Krishna, constantly thinking of Krishna, except sometimes when things are very dangerous, then, hey Krishna, you know, please help, you know, because our situation looks like it might be tragic. So anyway, so many things, this 40th anniversary, it was very nice to see so many devotees from so many different countries, and the devotees who helped to build the temple and helped Srila Prabhupada to realize that dream. I had the experience in Los Angeles when I first discovered the Bhaktivedanta archives. I had decided, I was with ITV, and we had quite a lot of footage of Srila Prabhupada from Yadubar, of Srila Prabhupada on morning walks and things like that. And so in ITV, we were only using the part where Srila Prabhupada is speaking, where you can actually hear Srila Prabhupada speaking. So different, this Acharya series that we created at the time has almost all the footage of Srila Prabhupada actually speaking. So there was a lot of footage where there was no sound. You saw Srila Prabhupada walking, and my idea was we will make a video of Srila Prabhupada on these walks and also from the different slides. So I went to the Bhaktivedanta archives to see, you know, how many slides there were, and I was amazed. There are 18,000 color slides of Srila Prabhupada in the Bhaktivedanta archives, and there are about 10,000 black and white negatives of Srila Prabhupada. So it was, to me, amazing. And so I started to dedicate myself to that service because I didn't know, and I always considered myself very learned as far as ISKCON things went, and so actually I was shown, actually you're very ignorant of so many things. And so my service was to make these wonderful images available to the devotees, and now they're online on krishna.com. You can see all the slides and all the black and white negative images of Srila Prabhupada. Maybe not the black and white. Black and white are, they're cataloged, but they're not actually on the website because we've focused on the color slides on the website. And so I never did get that video made of Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, because and so if you look at the slides and you look at the whole history, Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan and staying in the rooms at Radha Damodar temple, and the rent, anybody know, who knows how much the rent was? The rent was 5 rupees monthly for Prabhupada's rooms in the Radha Damodar temple. So from 5 rupees room to the creation of one of the most beautiful temples in Vrindavan and indeed in the whole world, you know, in the space of a mere 10 years. And this, my realization was that for Srila Prabhupada himself, as a citizen of Vrindavan, you know, your city means you live there, you become a citizen. And so as a citizen of Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada became from a very obscure personality, although very wonderful personality, he became the most prominent citizen of Vrindavan. And this must have been for him, in a way, a great triumph. At least from our vision, it was a great triumph. And so this was my realization when I wanted to make my video of Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. So time is marching on. Krishna says, Kalosmi, I am time. And so Krishna, in that way, he is the ultimate controller. Without time, nothing happens. Everything has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, they say. So time, we have to treat it very carefully in the service of Krishna, because it is Krishna. And 1 second that has gone by can never be retrieved by any amount of gold or any material thing. One cannot take back even 1 second of time. So, anyway, I thank you very much, and I thank the devotees for inviting me here and giving me the privilege of speaking to you all. And so if anyone has any questions or comments. Yes, Prabhu. You have the mic?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
For taking out your time and coming all the way from Juhu temple to here and giving us your association. We are very grateful.
Yeah.
One small thing which I would like you to speak on is, you are working for the Bhaktivedanta archives.
Yes.
And you are handling all this precious material.
Yes.
Prabhupada's pictures and other things connected to Prabhupada. So, for generations to come, for hundreds of years to come, this will be our connection with Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
We have never met Prabhupada, we never saw Prabhupada, but when we see Prabhupada, we see him in his pictures, and you are handling all of that. So, would you like to, speak to us? What are your thoughts when you are handling such super valuable material, and what would be your a few words to us that how should we value that material?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I did think a lot about this when I was at the Bhaktivedanta archives. And my realization was that Krishna has, by Krishna's energy, created this system of digitization. Because by digitization, you do not lose quality. So when we scan all these images, I also scanned all the manuscripts, the manuscripts. There are some manuscripts typed by and written by Srila Prabhupada personally also, and there are the transcripts. So I also scanned all the transcripts, and the digitization gives us the ability to. It's not, in previous times, they would carve in stone. So the Buddha's teachings, they're carved in big stones. I don't know where, I've never really seen them, but I've heard about them, that his teachings are there carved in stone. So the digital, and these will last for thousands of years. They have lasted for thousands of years. So in a similar way, the digitization of Srila Prabhupada's materials will give us the facility to preserve them for thousands of years unchanged. And the volume that they are, the number of books, the number of pictures, even the film. Actually, one thing was happening when I was at the archives, when I wanted to do that project on Srila Prabhupada. I wanted to go to the original film. So I went to the place where they're storing the films in the archives, and I started to look at some of the reels, the reel-to-reel, the 16 millimeter. And I saw it had turned bluish color. And that's what celluloid, what the film does after a while, these colors start to distort. So immediately, I notified Yadubar, and so we did a special grant the BBT gave a special grant, and over 2 years, it was about $125,000 to digitize all the film. And Yadubar spent 2 years supervising the color correction of the film in order. So what you see now are the DVDs of Following Srila Prabhupada and the ITV series. This was preserved at that time. That was in the late 80s, early 90s that we did that. So we can not only read like the Buddha's writings, but we can actually see, visualize Srila Prabhupada on morning walks and Srila Prabhupada giving classes through the medium of this film and thing. And it can last for as long as this computer technology lasts. And I was thinking about it, that even if there is an atomic, thing, it's not going to kill everybody. And whoever survives will still have digital technology. And with the dissemination, with the distribution of all these digitized things, someone somewhere will survive with them, even if there is a nuclear thing. So that was a realization that we had. And of course we have now built a vault in North Carolina to house all the actual original materials. But still, book distribution is the most important thing, because even if you see in the front of the book, Srila Prabhupada always had us note down books by the author, and so Bhagavad Gita is there, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the small books are there, the archival books are there also, and these things, they're like, when a ship sinks, the first thing they look for is the inventory of the ship, to find out what we lost, what's down there on the bottom. So in the same way, that list of writings, that is like the inventory. And so even they may miss 1 or 2 books, but still they will start to search, and they probably will find those books. Another reason, for example, I did a conversion of Bhaktivedanta Vedabase, the books version, into Spanish language. And the Spanish BBT devotees, they sent me the files of the different books, because Spanish is the 3rd most language in the world. I think it's English, then Chinese, and then Spanish. So now we know that the digitization of the Spanish books of Srila Prabhupada will be there. And so, in that sense, we had that consciousness when we were dealing with the archival materials. So, thank you for that question. It was very kind of you. Jai. Anyone else? All right. As we used to say at the Sunday feast, now comes the good part. Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you.